In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to change your perspective about the dearly departed without thinking of them as either a sinner or a saint. This will actually help you to fully appreciate the impact that they had in your life while maintaining integrity for your memories with them. Hi everyone, I'm Diana Palm. I'm the medium helping you heal the grief from heartbreak and loss. There are two main reasons why people categorize people as either a sinner or a saint. And we're going to go through those and how you can actually shift your perspectives around that. When people experience loss, there's two ways that they typically refer to their beloved who passed. One is they forget significantly many things in their life and elevate them to the status of a saint by only referring to how good they were, how miraculous their life was, what a good person, and every single thing that they did. While at the other time, people that pass are delegated to being a sinner, where they hold them in place as the bad person, the wrong person, the person that caused harm to so many. And neither one of those perspectives are entirely accurate or helpful for you as the bereaved. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm wondering if you've ever experienced this, when you think about your loved ones that passed, if you've put them in one or two of those categories. Because I know that I have. I've been to many funerals, and it's interesting when you talk to the family and friends to see their version of who they thought that the beloved was when they were living. Many people will kind of separate into two different groups at funerals or after a loss, and they'll be talking about, oh, this person was so great. They're the best at this. And they really begin the elevation process of the saint category. While at other times, people are still very angry and upset about a loved one's passing, how they were impacted, and they go down the other road. They start to really personify the sinner aspect in the person that died. So let me know if you've experienced this, or maybe you've even done this yourself. Now, there's reasons why we do this. It's a coping mechanism, but both ways that we do this are actually not beneficial for the bereaved and will actually hold you in a place of unhealed grief. So let's open up this information for you so you can get some very helpful information to help you shift this perspective. Okay, so if you're categorizing your loved one in the sinner category, you mainly do this to justify your own anger, either about their passing or about things that they did to you when they were living. You may feel stuck in victimhood from the person that passed, and blaming others helps you cover up your pain. So while you hold that person was a wrongdoer or a sinner in some regard, that actually is covering up the pain you have inside that's unhealed from your relationship with them. So that will signify to you that you have things to heal. Some people get angry because the loved one died and they didn't get to ever make amends or seek justice for whatever wrongdoing happened. So all of these behaviors, they're going to hold you in resentment, anger, and victimization. And all of those are very disempowering. On the other hand, when people elevate their loved one that passed to the saint category, they whitewash all their flaws. They do this because sometimes it seems too complicated to love somebody who's not perfect. And none of us are perfect, and we never will be. But there's a lot of peer pressure around that. So many times when I'm at funerals and somebody's grieving the loss of a loved one, people will actually come up to that person and say, how could you have loved them? They weren't even good to you, or they weren't good to their children, or they were a cheater, or whatever other excuse they have that made them human, that made them not perfect. So some people will jump on that bandwagon. They'll also say things like, oh, if they were a good one, you'll never be loved like that again, or they were your soulmate and that was your one chance at love. All of those are false. They're just projections. We are so complicated as human beings. We're not all good or all bad. We're an incredible mix of what people say are good and bad. But it's really important to recognize that if you're portraying somebody as either a sinner or saint. So some other ways that people elevate and why they do that into the saint category is that they create a sainted version of them so that nobody else will measure up. This is a way to keep their heart safe, so the bereaved doesn't have to expose how vulnerable they are or attempt to love another person again or enter a relationship. So they tend to hold that one that they loved in the saint category to keep all others at bay, almost just signifying, you know what? I had my love, that was perfect, and now I don't have to enter the pool of dating again. I don't have to become vulnerable or expose myself or go through the messy stuff that relationships require us to go through. So it's a way to keep safe, and that's why many people do it. Also, many people identify with themselves with the person that passed, and perhaps this is a past that they loved. Maybe they actually created a beautiful life with that person, and that's the way they always want to think of themselves. And when their loved one passes, their world is almost shattered because it will never be exactly the same as it was. But nothing ever is. It's just that when a death brings this to our attention, it's much more remarkable, or much more, it stands out. It's exaggerated. So the person that's so close to a loved one, especially a spouse or a significant partner, their world will be shaken up more than other people that were involved with the person that passed. So part of it is your identity. Avoiding living in the present and planning a new future. That's another reason why people elevate the loved one that passed, because they don't want to move forward. They're afraid to move forward. And the more they cling to that person to make them seem saintly, the more they can validate staying in the past rather than taking those steps to move forward, or even living in the present, learning how to do that and stabilize in their life. All of these issues will actually keep you stuck in lack, the fear of not being loved, feeling safe in an old life, and being afraid to make steps forward into your future life. But that's what life is requiring. That's what your life is requiring. So both ways can preoccupy your energy and keep you tied to the past. And avoiding reality can prevent new love from coming in. I really like to emphasize that, because when we are stuck in the past and our version of who we were with the person that we loved in the past, once they die, it requires us to heal and evolve through the experience and to be able to move forward. We cannot live the past, especially when our loved one is gone. So this is where we really grow spiritually. Some of the solutions that will really help you with this: if you've put your loved one in the sinner category, this will trigger your own need for healing. So with or without them, you can do your own healing. If you're somebody that holds somebody in a negative aspect when they pass, you'll realize, because it'll bubble up in you, you'll start to feel angry. You'll start to, talk bad about them. You'll remember all the past pain that they may have caused in your life. And this, at this point, is no longer about your loved one who just died. This is totally about you and the unhealed things that you're holding on to, the unhealed wounds, anything that happened in relationship. Maybe you didn't feel loved enough. Maybe they abandoned you. Maybe they betrayed you. Maybe they just showed up as a negative person in your life, abusive, neglectful. And if that's the case, it's not about them anymore. It is about you. It's about you healing those feelings within your body. And it's not even about how you feel about them. It's just about healing the wounds that you received through the relationship with them. So if you shift that focus and stay focused on healing the feelings about you that felt unlovable, that felt rejected, then you have a really clear perspective to be able to heal this energy once and for all and be able to move forward. So realize that the soul lessons you received were to grow your soul, and this will help you to release the pain. You won't have to stay in the moment of the painful situations you remember. You can actually, when you decide to heal these things, your soul will grow. You'll develop as a person. You'll actually learn different ways to encounter relationships and how to engage in relationships. And this is all for your soul growth. So when you get your soul lessons out of any difficult relationship, you will experience growth. And if you can focus on that aspect of it, you don't have to focus on the painful past. Transform the way you think about the deceased. And that's really how I do it. I become thankful for the lessons they taught me instead of angry at the things that they did wrong. That's just a super power move, especially for the bereaved. You don't have to love the things that they did in order to love them. I think that that one's really important because sometimes, like I said, with peer pressure, people will come in and dig on the person sometimes and they won't understand why you love them so much. They weren't even perfect. They did this wrong and they did this wrong. And a lot of standard buyers like to put their perspective on your loved one that passed. And when somebody is experiencing a grieving heart, that's a really harmful way to try to get them to move forward or to add more pain to their already current state of suffering. So if you're hearing things like that, just remember you don't have to justify or make excuses. You don't have to love perfect people. You can just love them and know that that's enough, even with their flaws. You can still experience healing even after they're dead. And that's an absolute, because they continue to live in the afterlife. And when you do your own healing, it frees their spirit to move forward. And that's not why you do it, although you can. I've worked with many people and led them through really deep forgiveness exercises and seen their loved one's spirit cross over and heal on the other side. Now remember, your relationships with the dearly departed, they're forever. They leave the physical realm, but they stay in spirit. So anytime you choose to heal things within yourself or in the experience that the relationship with them, that frees both of you. It teaches both of you also. So it's a very empowering way to move forward. Now, for those of you that elevated somebody into a sort of saint after they passed, realize that they were a real person with good and bad qualities. You don't have to focus on the bad qualities, but just realize they were a whole person and they're moving through life learning just like you are right now. So sometimes we have stumbling blocks as humans, and sometimes we don't do as good as we hoped we would do, but we're all in the process of learning. Your loved one who died was no different. So they don't have to be perfect. You don't have to see them as perfect in order to love them. You can see them as a whole person. Your loved one who passed is a part of your lesson in love. And what I mean by that is everybody that comes into your life is always teaching you how to love better, how to love yourself better by having loving boundaries, how to love others better by coming out of your projection or your own paradigm, and how to show up for that person or with that person in relationship. I like to say that relationships are in the middle. This person has their own paradigm, their truth, their story, what they believe, but so does this person. And this person cannot enter that person's sphere entirely because they would give up their own. So in relationship, we come to the middle, and that's where we come together and compromise and learn and grow and create almost another version. It's the relationship embodies both aspects of each other, but it's kind of in the middle. And that's why cooperation is so important in relationship and good communication. Neither person will entirely fit into the other person's life. It's about creating that new life together, filled with the belief systems that you both agree to. You don't have to change anybody's minds. The other beliefs can stay on the other side. But in relationship and the decisions you make as a couple, that's where you come together and create that new space. So your evolvement with people, all relationships evolve you. All relationships teach you. Sometimes they comfort you. Sometimes they heal you because it feels so good to be intimate and connected with somebody you adore. But then when they show up the other way, it should not be such a letdown, because nobody can maintain that high aspect of themselves all the time. So it's really important to know that your ability to love people that are imperfect that is your growth. That is your growth to see who people are and to still love them. Practice knowing the whole person and loving the whole person, not your made up version of them. And that's exactly what we're talking about. It's okay if you think somebody's perfect and all of a sudden people come out of the woodwork and start telling you everything they ever did wrong. That does not have to change the way you love them or the way you feel about yourself. The truth is, your loved one was neither a sinner nor a saint. They were just a real person. If you learn a painful truth about your loved one who passed, it does not diminish anything that you had together. Secrets are often revealed after death, and this is often from your loved one who passed that urges the release of the secret. And I really want you guys to know that, because this happens so often where you have this kind of version of a perfect life with somebody, and then they pass, and then secrets come out. And you start hearing from a lot of people, well, this person did this, or they cheated, or they gambled, or they blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, you don't know what to do with all that love you had for them, or your paradigm, your perception of this perfect relationship. And the fall of that breaks your heart even worse. So I'd really like you to listen to this. Please do not let that shift your perspective or your love for the person that passed. This is, like I said, often the revelation comes through your loved one that passed, the loved one that's on the other side that is still wanting you to love all of them. They want you to know their secrets. They want you to know who they really were, because they felt safe with you and they believed in your love for them. So when they reveal things after they pass through other people, know that this is not to diminish your love for them. This is actually a revelation from the spirit world. Your loved one in the afterlife is trying to reveal all aspects of them to give you the opportunity to really see them, know them, and still love them. Whew, that's a doozy. That's a big one, but that's the way it was given to me, and that's what I've seen time and time again with my work with the bereaved and with the spirit world. So really let that sink into your heart. It doesn't mean that your version of them was wrong. They just want you to know all of them. Okay, you'll release the category or the need to categorize them as either a sinner or a saint when you can fully embrace them and see the truth in them and still love them. Think about it this way. People often hide aspects of themselves that they think will make them unlovable. And so that's kind of a human quality. We show up a certain way. We either hide our past or we hide different things that we judge, that we think someone will definitely stop loving us if they know this about us. or I'm not lovable because I have this in my past, or I have this problem in my life, or I have this health issue, or whatever that looks like for you. So there's a fear about not being loved when people don't share their whole selves with you. And when they do that after they die, that's because they really long for you to love them, the whole them. Know that when your loved one is on the other side, it is now safe for you to see all aspects of them. If you did not when they were living, it's okay for you to now. It's safe for you to now, because the negative aspects that they may have been hiding from you, they won't have a direct impact in your life as they would if they were still living with you. So when those secrets, if those secrets come out and you reveal, things are revealed to you that you didn't know, just know that it is safe, that you can hear them without changing your perspective, that it does not diminish the love you had, that your relationship was real, and this is still continuing on the other side. This is a gift for you directly from your loved one to help you move forward, to get all the pieces so that there's no big surprises. You can actually heal your heart. You can heal the things in you that didn't allow you to know these aspects of your loved one when they were living. And that really, really grows your heart. It really fulfills your heart's capacity to really love somebody, To know somebody is to love them, not to just know your perspective of them or the version they reveal to you. To love somebody is to really, really know them. And this is a love journey. We're all on it. So we are always improving in our capacity to love ourselves and to love the people that we share life with. Let's see here. Okay, so some of the things, I think we've talked on some of them already, but when you have a balanced perspective about your loved one who died, your heart will heal. Secrets will be revealed sometimes. And you no longer have to think of them as a sinner or saint. This will prepare you to love somebody new. It will evolve your capacity to love and prepare you to freely love somebody else and to maybe even see that new person more completely. Loving yourself means healing those aspects of yourself that are triggered, that are unhealed, or where you hold yourself back in love because of fear. And this will help you to have a more balanced perspective. If you can love yourself, I like to say this too, if you can love yourself, all aspects of yourself, the not so lovable traits, that trains you to be able to love other people authentically as well. So you can practice there. You can always practice in loving your extra weight or your imperfect skin or your habits, or, even our negative habits that people always want to pick on. It's like, embrace yourself. If you can love every single thing about yourself, it makes it that much easier to love other people without needing to make them perfect in order to love them. So that's a really good place to start. And that will prepare you to have very loving relationships where you see and know the whole person and love them anyway. Okay, so if you want specialized healing for going through the grief process, if you find yourself in need of that, you need to have some healing done to your heart or help changing your perspective around your ending, wherever you find yourself, make sure that you reach out to me. You can set up a complimentary call with me, and we'll see if you're a good fit for my spiritual grief healing program, which I call Reconnect, because I do help you reconnect with your loved one for inspired life changes after loss. If you've been going through the grief process and you're not sure if that's the next step for you, be sure you either get the link below this video or above this video for my free grief assessment. That's just a few pages where you can fill it out and see how you're actually processing through grief. Many people think that their grief is over and they don't realize that a new addiction or a new avoidant tactic or something else in their life is showing up, that is part of grief. So even if you're not feeling sad, you may still have grief impacting your life. So anyways, find out that, get the free grief assessment, fill it out, and just see for yourself how you're doing. If you find that you do need help, I have services to help you. Okay, I also have my Infinity Prayer Portal. So if you're needing some prayers, we do open up that room and pray every single week for all your intentions. So if you want to pray for a loved one, if you want to pray for yourself, for your own healing, please add pictures, add your prayers. If you don't have to share a bunch of details if you don't want to. If you do want to, that's lovely, that's fine too. Every single week, we will actually set time aside to pray for all your intentions. And remember now, when your energy joins the collective in prayer, it really magnifies the ability to heal and to receive those blessings. So I invite you to do that too. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I can't wait to reconnect with you next week when we'll be talking about the timing of death. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.